In this video, we're going to talk about, is technical analysis just nonsense? Stay tuned. Hey traders, a very warm welcome to you. Okay, so I'm going to play devil's advocate a bit here and look at both sides of this potential argument. Is technical analysis, is charting just BS? Let's look at the arguments for it being complete nonsense and let's look at the arguments against. So you may well use charts to make trading decisions. I use charts to make trading decisions. Do you use chart patterns exclusively to make your trading decisions, or do you combine it with other things? Let's have a little look and see exactly why people say that technical analysis is just nonsense. So some people say that hedge funds don't just use charts, which generally I think is pretty true. Maybe there are some hedge funds out there, but I think generally hedge funds will make a fundamental decision. They'll make a case for the investment, the short, the trade, and then they will back it up with charts. They will look at the charts and find a good entry point to make that trade. So that seems reasonably valid argument that technical analysis is just nonsense. If it wasn't, would hedge funds just be piling in, basing their trades and investments and strategy on head and shoulders, or on bull flags, or on double bottoms, or whatever it may be? It's a reasonable argument. Okay, number two here, if it worked, big money would milk it. What do I mean by that? I mean, if there's a strategy that works all the time, let's say for argument's sake, a head and shoulders pattern, which we're all very familiar with, the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder. The traditional way is you sell on the break of a neckline and you're going to go short and make some money from that. If that worked all the time, would big institutions not just pile into it until it didn't work? So if every time there was a head and shoulders forming, you'd have a pile of institutional money piling into it because they knew that it worked very successfully over time and they would make money. There's a good argument for that. You know, I hear that argument, I think, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, because then the trade would never ever work, because you'd find people going in on their head just in case the right shoulder formed. They'd be working out the odds of it forming and the odds of winning from that. They wouldn't be waiting right until the right shoulder had formed and the break. So that kind of makes sense as well, right? You know, I get that. If it really worked all the time, then big money would just be absolutely milking it, as I said here. So final one I've got here is no single one chart pattern has worked consistently. And I would say that's pretty true as well. There is no one chart pattern that if you back tested that pattern all the way back to however long you wanted to has produced consistent returns that I know of. There may be, someone may come out and say, well, actually, if you've done this pattern, then it would have worked and made you money over time. There are often things that, let's just digress slightly here. When people are back testing, they do that. But what they don't say is actually there was a 10-year period where it lost money, or there's a 10-year period where it did this, did that. So you can take any kind of date back and make a sample size that fits, but has it worked consistently? In other words, in every single type of market condition has a specific chart pattern work. There isn't one that I know of. So for me, that's a reasonable argument to say that technical analysis is just nonsense. All right, let's look at the arguments against this. So in other words, it's not BS, it's not nonsense, it actually works and you should be using it. Number one, prop traders are successful with charts. I know maybe not hedge funds, but I know prop traders who use charts pretty much exclusively to make their trading decisions. Some of them use market depth, some of them go really much more drilling down into that. Some of them just use price action and looking at the flow through time and sales. But there are a lot of traders out there who are just using charts. So for me, that's a good argument to say, hey, you know what, they do work. All right, second thing is people are implementing it wrong. So are we taking charts too literally? In other words, you're taking that head and shoulders pattern, let's use that as an example, and they're just trading that every time they see that without regard for the bigger environment, for the bigger picture. I think that's true as well. That's my personal belief. I think that's why is a good argument for the fact that technical analysis isn't nonsense, that it is actually legitimate. I think a lot of people are implementing it wrong. But let's move on. Let's go back to that. It's a guide, not a system. This to me is a big one as well. You know, going to this on the same theme of taking it literally, if you literally take a chart pattern and you're trading it mechanically every time that chart pattern comes up, I think you will lose money over time. I'm pretty sure of that fact. Maybe someone has done it and can prove me wrong on that. But I think if you consistently take a chart pattern without any regard for any position of where it is, you're just taking it on a 15-minute chart, a daily or a minute, whatever it may be, without any thought for any other strategy, I think you will lose money. I'm almost certain of it. Because the chart pattern has to be put into the bigger goal, into the bigger picture, into just seeing where it is. Is it at highs? Is it at lows? Are we in a bull market? Are we in a bear market? Are we in a range? Is there news coming out? All these things that we've talked about in previous videos that need to be listened to, that need to be, allocated a little bit of decision making and say, yes, that matters, that matters, that matters, that doesn't. Okay, now the chart pattern, the actual trigger for the entry or the filter for the entry is initiated. So there's just some thoughts, guys, on whether technical analysis is just nonsense or not. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Those are devil's advocate and taking a neutral view. My opinion is it's not. I don't believe that, as I say, you can do it just very, very structured and just trading a chart pattern without consideration for other things. However, I think it's a really good guide as to helping you with your trade, helping you calculate your risk, helping you quantify your risk, helping you get into the trade that you believe is the right trade to do. And for that, chart patterns, I think, are great and very, very useful. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Otherwise, take care. See you in the next one. Keep the risk managed. Goodbye.